Yeah, this thing is just not working very well. Okay. Now it looks like we're recording finally. So today we're going to jump into three-dimensional design, and it's a fairly simple process. We're going to start with some videos that are going to show how to use SketchUp, and they're going to step us through some simple SketchUp kind of projects, and your homework for this will be to reproduce what they do in the videos, but using some of your things from your own life a little bit. So we're going to start off by getting onto the internet and just typing into your favorite search engine, SketchUp. It's spelled like ketchup with an S on the at the end, SKETCHUP. One of the spellings of ketchup, anyway. And it will take you to sketchup.com. You can just type in sketchup.com if you like to. And just click on the front page of this, and you'll see that they have an advertisement for SketchUp Pro. And you can download a free trial of that, or you can actually get it. You can get SketchUp. Let's see. I think it's called SketchUp Make that is the free version of this. Yeah, so SketchUp Make. So if you buy SketchUp Make, you can, or not buy it, but if you sign up to get it, you can get a free version of SketchUp, which is, it's a pretty good version. It can do a lot of different things. Hello? Am I connected to somebody else now? Oh, they disconnected. Anyway. So yeah, it's a pretty powerful program even from the free version. I think that if you get, I know that I can get SketchUp Pro for education. I'm not sure if students can do that themselves. Let's take a look here really quick. Students, so you can buy one at a significant discount. Let's see what it costs. Yeah, so $50. $50 is not a bad idea, but it's something, and I think that you even get free updates for like forever or something like this, but that may not be true. But anyway, I would just recommend the SketchUp Make. It's a very good version of SketchUp. You're not going to use most of the features of SketchUp Pro, because the features that we will need from SketchUp Pro, I can do for you. I can use those features in my license when you are finished with your three-dimensional design. So anyway, not terribly important for you. However, what is important is this little tab up here that says Learn, and that's where we're going to go start at here. They have these video tutorials that have been developed by professional and expert SketchUp people, and we're going to use these to start our SketchUp experience. They start pretty basic, making basic shapes and using basic tools, and then they get more and more complicated, or complex, as you might think of them. But we're going to go through pretty much the first 4 videos here. We won't do this all today. We will do like 1 or 2 videos today, and get you started on a little design project, and then we'll watch some more later. But let's go ahead and get started. If you have a question during these videos, please feel free to ask. I will stop the video at various places to point out certain things. And I would recommend that if you do have SketchUp, it's a good idea to have it out and open and maybe try some things out if you haven't tried anything out in Google SketchUp before. For those of you who have used Google SketchUp before, you may have seen these videos, or you may have plenty of experience so that these videos seem a little bit boring and basic to you. However, I would still pay attention. There are always things that you can learn from the experts, even in a very basic tutorial. So let's go ahead and get started here. Somebody always turns off the sound. Okay.
When you first start SketchUp, you'll be presented with a welcome screen. Regardless if you're using SketchUp Make or Pro, you'll need to pick a template to start with. The main difference is the default units of measurement SketchUp will use. such as meters or inches. The other difference is the starting view, which can be from the side or from the top. Either is fine. Choose a template and start SketchUp. Let's all start from the same view by going to the Camera menu, Standard Views, and choose ISO. Now begin by drawing a rectangle. Pick the rectangle.
Okay, so they haven't told you right away, but I would like you to notice as an engineer right away that you have these axes, what we call orthogonal axes. You have a blue, you have a green, you have a red. It's really important to keep these straight, particularly when you're dealing with an object that you're going to be rotating around to work on different sides of it. It starts with the blue pointing up. You can always think of the blue is pointing towards the sky. It's pointing up and down, right? So blue is to the sky. That way, when you start rotating your object around, you're not going to get confused as to which way is up, which way is down. It's very easy to do that when you rotate objects around, particularly when you're not rotating an object that has an obvious up or down. They're going to be building a house in this video, which most of us are pretty familiar with. We know that the up side, kind of has the slanted roof thing on it, and that's what we call up. But when you're building an engineering part or an engineering design, there's not necessarily an obvious up. So it's a good idea to keep in mind which way is up. And also, you have this axis that is a solid axis, and then you have a dotted axis. So you have a dotted axis going down, solid axis going up. A solid axis green going off here into the horizontal plane, and a dotted axis. So those just tell you directions from your origin being the center point. And most of the time, you will want to design whatever it is you're designing near or on this center point, so that it is easy to find once again, easy to get back to.
Tool, then click once to start a rectangle. Pull away, and click again to finish. A quick note about drawing in SketchUp. Get in the habit of click and releasing your mouse button to start and finish most actions. This will be true for almost all of the drawing tools. Unless we specifically ask you to click and drag your mouse button, always click and release to start and finish each tool and action. Now undo any rectangles by going to the Edit menu and choosing Undo. Draw another rectangle, but this time keep an eye on the lower right corner. Okay, so I'm going to interject again. You notice when they go up to the Undo button, it shows the Command Z, or in the case of a Windows computer, Control Z. So he's obviously using a Mac from his window here. You can see that. But if you're using a Windows computer, you make sure that you understand that you use Control Z to undo something. It's very valuable to learn the skill of using your keyboard with your left hand and your mouse with your right hand, unless you're a left-handed mouse user, while you're doing three-dimensional drawing, because you can make your experience much faster, much more efficient. The more shortcut keys that you can learn using Google SketchUp or whatever other drawing system that you use, the faster you'll be able to work. Instead of clicking on everything, which takes a lot of time, you can use shortcut keys. And I would recommend that every time you learn a new shortcut key, you try to use it as much as possible to help your brain to remember it, help you to memorize that, and get used to using that shortcut key with your left hand. People who are very, very good three-dimensional designers are not just good because they're creative or because they have a grasp of the 3D world on their computer or whatever else. They're actually, most of the time, they're so good because they're extremely efficient and fast. And being efficient and fast in a 3D drawing program requires you to get used to having your left hand on your keyboard, using as many shortcut keys as you possibly can, and your right hand on your mouse doing the things that you can't do on your keyboard. So it's a new paradigm for using a computer for most people, but once you get used to it, it becomes a very good way. And it's not just useful in 3D drawing, it's also useful when using Word. It's also, shortcut keys can make your life so much faster than using a mouse. Learning to use a mouse is much easier. It's much simpler to learn to use a mouse, but it's much slower and much less efficient.
As you do, click once to start the rectangle, pull away, and watch how the dimensions change as you adjust the rectangle size. Click again to finish the rectangle.
The dimensions are
as precise with SketchUp?
So when he was talking about dimensions, talking about these numbers in the right-hand corner. One of them is for the width, one of them is for the length. And it's not entirely obvious all the time which one is which. So sometimes you have to move your rectangle to see which one is changing.
As you'd like. Although it may not seem you're being accurate, everything you draw in SketchUp has a real-world scale. We'll learn more about this later. For now, let's move on to the next tool, the Push-Pull tool. Select this tool and click on the rectangle we just drew. Pull up, and we've created a box. Click to finish. The Push-Pull tool will literally push or pull on any flat surface. Try it on our simple box. Click on this side to pull it out and click to finish.
Okay, so I'm going to stop here to explain something about three-dimensional design. What you've now created here is what we call a solid object or a closed object. This is very important for engineers because usually engineers are going to convert this drawing, this model that they've created into some kind of prototype, and often that kind of prototype is going to use a machine to make the prototype. So maybe you take this model that we've created of this box here, and you are going to use this model now to use a mill to cut this box out of metal or out of plastic or whatever else. So you put a big piece of plastic on there, and then the machine cuts it down to the right size according to your drawing. But unless this model that you've created, it is a solid object or a closed, what we call a closed surface drawing, the machine will not know how to do it. Okay, so what is a closed surface or a solid object? This box has surfaces that are defined on each side of the box, 6 surfaces that are all connected. There are no openings to the inside of the box. If there was an opening to the inside of the box, the machine that was going to try to carve it out of plastic would think that the box is hollow and would try to carve out a hollow box, which is very difficult for a machine to do if it's only got a small opening somewhere. So if you try to build this box from 6 different rectangles and then you just try to turn them around and connect them together to build the box, it creates all kinds of problems if you don't connect all the edges and corners together exactly. And if you don't connect them together exactly, then SketchUp will not create this solid object. However, if you push and pull the sides, then SketchUp automatically creates a solid box. The computer has to know that these edges are perfectly sealed together or perfectly connected together on the same line. So SketchUp is designed to create that when you use the proper tools in the proper way.
Click on this side to push it in, and click to finish. Now, let's combine more rectangles with the Push-Pull tool. Select the Rectangle tool, and draw a rectangle on our existing box. Watch how SketchUp will give you reference points to help as you draw. For example, to draw from this corner, SketchUp snaps to this point and shows you a green endpoint. Click here to start, pull away, and finish the rectangle. Now, use the Push-Pull tool to push this new surface inward. The drawing tools all work based on the surface you are drawing on. For example, use the Circle tool to draw a circle on one of your surfaces. Simply click to start, pull out the radius, and click again to finish. Now, draw another circle on a different surface to see how the orientation aligns to whatever you're drawing on. Use Push-Pull to create some cylinders. Select the Rectangle tool again and start from this upper edge. SketchUp shows a red dot indicating you are on the edge. Click to start and draw down to a lower edge, also showing a red dot. Use Push-Pull to push this surface inward. All reference points are called inference points in SketchUp, and they will be very helpful in making you both accurate and fast. Here are the basic inference points: endpoints, on-edge points, and midpoints for the middle of any edge. There are others, but these are the most common. You can see how simple it is to create 3D objects in SketchUp. Let's take a moment to explore navigation in SketchUp. Start with the Orbit tool. Click and drag to orbit your view right to left and up and down. For practice, try orbiting fully around your model. Next is the Pan tool. This moves your view side to side without orbiting. Click and drag to pan your view of the model around the screen. The final navigation tool is Zoom. Click and drag to zoom closer to and away from your model. Now try practicing using orbit, pan, and zoom together. Zoom in, orbit, pan, orbit, zoom, and so forth. Navigating is essential in SketchUp, but going back and forth to pick these icons seems slow and cumbersome, which is why we've built all the navigation tools into a 3-button scroll wheel mouse. Simply roll the mouse wheel forward and back to zoom in and out. Press the wheel down to orbit. Press the wheel down and hold the Shift key on your keyboard to pan. Practice navigating again using the scroll wheel for a much faster experience. Another advantage to using the scroll wheel is better control over zooming. Try this. Hover your cursor over the corner of your model and roll the wheel forward. See how it zooms towards that corner? Using the scroll wheel will zoom toward and away from any area where your cursor is, making navigation even easier. Let's review what we've learned so far by creating a very simple house object. Begin by zooming back out so we can see our entire model. Then, use the Select tool. Click and drag a selection box around the entire model and press Delete on your keyboard. Draw a rectangle and use the Push-Pull tool to pull this rectangle into a box. Orbit and pan to get a better view of the top. Now let's split this top surface with the Line tool. Before drawing the line, hover over the top edge and find the midpoint inference. Click on the midpoint to start drawing. Move across the surface and find the midpoint on the opposite edge, and click to finish the line. We'll pull this new edge up to create a roof. Choose the Select tool and click on the edge to select it. With the edge highlighted, use the Move tool to create a ridge. Click on the edge to begin moving it. Move it upward, and click again to finish. A quick orbit shows that I wasn't very careful in moving my roofline, and the result is uneven. Let's undo that move and see how SketchUp can help us to be more accurate. Make sure the edge is selected, then, using the Move tool, click once on the edge to start moving it. While moving it around, notice that the edge snaps to a blue dotted line. This is an indication that you're moving the edge straight up, which will result in an even roof. Click to finish. In SketchUp, the red, green, and blue axes will help you to draw and move correctly in 3D space. Let's try it by creating a chimney on the roof. Navigate for a better view of the roof surface. Now, use the Line tool and click once on an upper part of the roof to start drawing a line. As you move the line around, watch how it will snap to a red direction, a green direction, and a blue direction. Try drawing a line in each direction and orbiting.
So that's actually a rather important tool. I mean, he's mentioned a lot of things, but a lot of times when we're designing something, we line up our design on the axes somehow, and then we can use those axes and the colors of the lines to make sure that we're lining things up in the right direction. Google SketchUp has a lot of tools that help you to line things up. They mentioned the reference points. Now they're mentioning the lines that this thing snaps to. Whenever it says it snaps to it, it means that Google kind of is guessing what you want to do and moves your cursor to that or your control to that.
Around to see the orientation. The blue direction is vertical, straight up and down, and the red and green are horizontal. To draw a chimney, we could approach it in many ways, but we'll use this method. We'll draw the side profile shape, then use push-pull to create the full chimney. Drawing with the axis directions will help us create the correct profile in 3D space. Use the eraser tool and click on any edges you drew to erase them. With the Line tool, click once on the roof edge. Make sure you see the red on-edge inference point, Or you could also start from the midpoint and draw a line straight up in the blue direction. Click to finish your line and press the escape key to cancel a continuous line. Now choose another point on the edge and start drawing a line from that point up in the blue direction. And watch as you draw upward that SketchUp will give you an inference when you are lined up with the previous line you drew.
That's an extremely useful tool so that you can line things up and get them exact.
Draw your second line to this point. Now, draw an edge connecting the two lines to complete a surface. With the surface drawn, use push-pull to extend the chimney across the roof to a point you are happy with. Use push-pull again to complete the chimney. By pulling across the roof surface, extra edges have been created, but these are easily erased. Any lines drawn across coplanar surfaces can be erased to form one larger surface. We call this healing the surface. Use the eraser and erase these two extra edges. At this point, you know some of the basics of SketchUp.
Okay, so you don't have to use your eraser when you highlight something in SketchUp. You can also just hit delete on your keyboard. Another little fast shortcut. You don't have to always click back and forth between the tools.
So practice what you've learned by adding to our simple house. Draw a rectangle and split it in half. Then use push-pull to create some steps. Draw a few more rectangles to create a door and windows. Try a few things on your own. You can see how easy it is to create simple models in SketchUp with only a few tools. When you're ready to learn more, proceed to our next video where we will create a more detailed house with real dimensions and introduce you to the offset and follow me tools.
Ta-da! Okay, so fairly straightforward. Like I said, it's not terribly difficult to follow along with that first video and to get a basic idea of how this works. However, we really want to learn a little bit more. So we're going to go on to another video, and then I will tell you what your assignment is after that. Any questions about the first video or anything else? Okay. Let's do our next one here.
Before viewing this video, please be sure you've watched the first Getting Started video. We'll build on the concepts learned there. In this video, we'll create a more detailed house, learning about accuracy, drawing tips, and using offset and the Follow Me tool. If you don't see the large tool set, go to View, Tool Palettes, Large Tool Set. To start this model, let's draw a basic rectangle. As we learned before, everything in SketchUp has real dimensions. We need to control what the dimensions are. In SketchUp, to enter dimensions, you start an operation and simply type in the desired dimensions. Try this. Undo your rectangle if needed, then start drawing a new rectangle. Click and release once to start the rectangle, then type 10 apostrophe, comma, 20 apostrophe, and press the Enter key. This creates a rectangle 10 feet by 20 feet. Now, start a line from this corner and draw in the red direction. Type 2M and press Enter. This creates a line that is 2 meters long. Working accurately in SketchUp is simple. Don't click in the measurements box, but just start drawing and then type in the dimensions as needed. Rectangle dimensions are separated by a comma. Here are a few examples of some dimensions you might enter. Now that you're familiar with entering dimensions, erase any existing geometry and draw a new rectangle that is 12 feet by 30 feet. Now, starting from this corner, draw another rectangle adjacent to the first that is 20 feet by 10 feet. We can combine these two surfaces by erasing the separating edge. There. Now this is one surface that we can push-pull. Start pulling it up and type 10 feet. To To create the roof, we'll use the line tool and draw all the edges we need before pulling the ridge up. Using the line tool, find the midpoint and draw back in the green direction. This will be our first ridge, and we need to connect it exactly to the second ridge. To do this, simply hover, but don't click, on the midpoint here, telling SketchUp that we are interested in this inference point. Once you see the tooltip telling you it's the midpoint, follow the original green direction, and SketchUp will infer to the midpoint, telling you exactly how far to draw the first edge. Make sure you see both inferences, and click to finish the first ridge. Then, draw the second ridge to this midpoint. Now that we have both ridges in place, simply draw the line where the roof will fold when we move the ridge lines. Use the select arrow and click on one of the ridges. Then, hold the Shift key and watch the icon. There is now a plus minus that indicates that you can add to, or subtract from, your current selection. This allows you to select other entities and deselect them as well while holding Shift. Add the other ridgeline to your selection, making sure only these two edges are selected. Now you can use the Move tool to pull up the roof. When you're happy with your roof, use the Select tool and click away from your model to deselect the ridgeline. Let's explore a new tool, the Offset tool. To see how the Offset tool works, click on the side of our house and pull inwards or away. All the edges of the surface are offset. Click to finish. You can try this on different surfaces to see the results. Or, if you wanted to focus on one surface, you could use the Select tool to pick a single surface. Then, the Offset tool will only work on that surface. Time to get back to our house. So, undo any previous offsets and navigate so we can see under the house. Let's offset the base of this house inwards. Select the bottom surface to focus the Offset tool. Then, offset the base inwards by 6 inches. Push this new surface upwards to create a roof overhang, but don't push it all the way. Leave a few inches for us to work with later. Offset can help us add some quick detail to other elements as well. Use the Rectangle tool to create a door and window. Be sure to start the door from the bottom edge. The window is simple. Offset it once or twice, and use Push-Pull to make the window frame. The door is a little more tricky, however. Offsetting the door creates some extra geometry that we don't need. It's easy to erase these edges, but there's another way to use the Offset tool that will solve this problem for us. Undo back to our simple door. Use the Select tool to select one door edge, then, holding the Shift key, add the other 2 edges. With these edges selected, the Offset tool will focus and only work on those edges, so we don't have any problematic edges below our house and can correctly create the door frame. Pull the door frame out so we can use it in our next example. Now that you understand the Offset tool, let's move on to the Follow Me tool. Zoom into the lower corner of the door frame we just created and draw a line between these 2 edges. We could use Push-Pull on this surface, but what if we wanted this to be trim that turns around this corner? That is what the Follow Me tool will do. Hit the Escape key to cancel the Push-Pull, or undo it. Then, select the Follow Me tool and click once on our trim surface. Pull along this lower edge, and it looks similar to Push-Pull, until you meet the corner and continue in a different direction. You can pull upwards or around the corner and follow any joining edges, and click to finish. The key to Follow Me is having a continuous edge to follow. Let's undo and navigate so we have a full view of the base of our house. Now use Follow Me to start following the trim all the way around the house until it meets up with the other side of the door. Just carefully follow around the edges and click to finish when you reach the inside of the door. Sometimes it's tricky to end the Follow Me tool at the right point, but a more sure way to use the tool is to pre-pick the path we want to choose. Undo the Follow Me action we just finished, and this time use the Select tool to choose the path. Hold the Shift key down, like before, and select all the edges that go around the house. But only the edges, and make sure they're all connected or the tool won't work. With our path selected, choose the Follow Me tool. It may look like we lost our selection, but don't worry. Just click on the trim surface to pull it around the path. If your example doesn't work, try again, and make sure you pick all the edges and have nothing else selected. We're only scratching the surface of what can be done with the Follow Me and other tools, so please look into some of our other videos and learning resources to explore these tools to their full extent. To finish our house example, let's turn our attention back to the roof and some drawing aids in SketchUp. Use the line tool and start drawing a line from this edge. Now hover over the roof edge for a few moments, and as you continue to draw, you'll see a new inference that is purple in color and parallel to the edge we just hovered over. We can easily find out how far to draw this parallel edge by hovering over the ridge point to focus attention there. Then, as we come back to drawing our original line, SketchUp will tell us where these points meet. Click to finish that edge, then continue drawing and hover over the far roof line to tell SketchUp that we are now interested in that edge. SketchUp will now show us the parallel inference to that edge, and we can follow it down to meet up with the lower on-edge inference point. At this point, you can keep practicing on your own. In the next video in the series, we'll create an interior room and fill it with items from the 3D warehouse.
Okay, any final questions? Like I said, it's pretty straightforward once you learn the basics, but your assignment for tonight, that we'll turn in Monday, is to go ahead and get a copy of Google SketchUp downloaded, get it open, start using it, and I want you to go through these videos, and in the course of watching these videos, I want you to build an exterior model of your home that you grew up in. If you grew up in more than one home, you can choose which one you want, but I want you to make an exterior representation, a model of the outside of your own home with as much detail as you can put into it that looks right, that looks good. I don't want you to just start adding details because you think you should. I want you to be able to design it well, to do it well using the techniques that they've shown here and any other things you can pick up on the way. You're more than welcome to watch more videos, get more help any other way that you want. There's an incredible online forum. There are all kinds of resources for learning Google SketchUp and 3D design in general. But I would like to see a good representation of the exterior of your home on Monday, created in Google SketchUp. Any questions? Okay. Have a good weekend, and we'll hopefully see you on Monday.